I'm back, baby. What a time. What a time to come back. Hey, guys, it's Keith Allen, and today we're finding the signal through the noise. After a weekend whale absolutely shakes the market, big impact on Bitcoin and ETH. We're going to take a look at that, and most importantly, figure out how to find the signal through the noise so you can trade this volatility, this craziness, hopefully with a little more confidence and sanity. And with that, how you doing, guys? It's Keith Allen, and I've been gone for a little while. Sorry about that. Maybe you care, maybe you don't. I have been, as you might be able to tell through the blurred background, plain white walls. Just recently moved my family. Haven't even finished unpacking. Haven't set up my studio yet, but I wanted to get in and take a look at the market with you guys and see if I can add some clarity to the chaos, because I woke up this morning and the first thing, now mind you, I fully intended to come back today full on anyhow, but I've been in tune. I've been obviously keep an eye on the market even when I'm not staring at screens all day or doing my bit breaks on the regular, and while in the heat of moving and unpacking, I was noticing what was happening with ETH. And maybe not, the fact that it happened over the weekend, we hit a new nominal all-time high, but didn't push past 5K, was an indication to me that this was just really a single actor type move. And we're going to break that down, and then we're going to get into what's really happening here, I think, and how you can navigate this a little bit better. But one of the things that just, like I take a look at the socials and try and gain some insight and perspective from news and maybe some trusted sources. And then of course, you always read the noise in between. And if I wasn't on X or crypto Twitter or whatever the hell we want to call this thing these days, I probably wouldn't be. I probably wouldn't be paying attention to much of it, because it's just a cesspool of noise and disinformation. And one of the things I saw this morning that made me laugh was a post from real estate mogul Grant Cardone, real estate mogul and / crypto noob, who, how should I say, drank the Kool-Aid from Michael Saylor and Donald Trump and went all in on Bitcoin. And his comment was, something to the effect of, why would somebody dump a huge stack of Bitcoin on Sunday rather than wait till Monday? Wah, sorry, Grant. This is not bankers hours. This is not TradFi bankers hours. This is crypto. It's a 24/7 playing field, and things work a little bit differently. His question was, why would they do that? Well, they did it to fuck with people like him, and with ETF owners who are sidelined, can't do anything on the weekend, right? So that's a big part of it. But this was a strategic play. One entity dumped $2.6 billion worth of Bitcoin and rotated that into ETH. And that's important for a number of reasons. Obviously, there was a knee-jerk reaction to it, right? The market, that a sell-off that large obviously had a negative impact on Bitcoin, and a purchase that large obviously had a positive impact on ETH. And this signals maybe that at least the near-term sentiment that there is interest in ETH, institutional interest in ETH, because of not because of the quote-unquote ETH treasury narrative, but because of the reasons behind the ETH treasury narrative, meaning the value that ETH has or will have, or is expected to have in the future of finance, right? The entire financial system, as we know it here in the US anyways, is being restructured. And it is not only, these institutions aren't speculating that it's going to be built on ETH. They're actually building it on ETH. So they know that's why it's happening. And so, yes, that means that there's quite a bit of upside potential for ETH in the nearer term, while Bitcoin still hangs on to its digital gold narrative. And in simple terms, it's considered that Bitcoin is digital gold and ETH is oil, right? Digital oil that's going to power things. And that's probably a pretty good analogy. So when all of this stuff happens, rather than panic and go, "Oh my God, what's happening? Is this the end? Is this the end?" I find it helpful to pay attention to the charts, pay attention to the data, and then I can tune out all of the freaking noise. And that helps me sleep at night. And it helps me push fewer buttons, to be honest with you. I find myself trading a lot less these days, where I am strategically building positions to invest in for the longer haul. So if I haven't said so already, before we climb in, just real quick, want to remind you guys, it's very, very helpful when you guys engage. So please smash some buttons, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, share it, and bring some of your friends and community members into the mix here. And of course, as always, live chat is open. Would love to engage with you. So that's what makes these streams better, is when you guys chime in. So by all means, feel free to do so. Live chat is open. And without further ado, I guess we should climb into some charts here so we can see what's actually transpiring here. Just a few minutes ago, we saw Bitcoin taking a pretty another pretty good run at support and broke through that 110 level. This is something that I have been forecasting. I've been telling you guys about this for over a week, and so it finally is developing, right? These things take time. So let's go ahead and share the screen. We're going to share this guy right here. And you can see as it went, let me go to the daily time frame here on Bitcoin. And you can see that prices has come through this 110K level with lots of selling from the larger classes. Only the smallest were buying. And we don't fall into the trap of thinking that the smaller order classes are strictly retail. Retail certainly lives there. But when you see what they do in volume over time, especially when we see these, like sloping lines without a lot of, how should I say, contour to them, that's an indication that somebody's running a TWAP strategy. That's a time-weighted average price strategy, where they buy incrementally over time. And, when you have 7, 10, 12, $15 million in $100 orders happening in hours or less than a day, then that's an indication that there's some TWAP happening in that order class. So that's what this green sloping line looks like to me. That's what this yellow sloping line looks like to me. There are periods where that changes, obviously, but that's just a heads up on how to interpret. As you can see, there is liquidity down here, but not a ton. There is a bit. If we zoom out, we can see there's, this is why it's not just ripping through, because there is some a decent little ladder stretch through this zone down to that 107 range. Why is this important? Why is it that a week ago I said watch for the 107 to 110K range? Maybe it was even longer than that, because it's been I think almost 10 days since my last live stream. I was involved in I was in a seminar for like 5 days, and then started my move. So that's why I have not been so active on the socials, and just been letting my my bots do the work for me. So why this range? Let's go look at a chart, and I will tell you why I have eyes on this range. Very simple. See these lines right here? These aqua colored lines, I guess we'll call them. That would be a timescape support level. And these represent Q3 of 2025. This was the quarterly open. This was the first week of that quarterly open. And now we're testing support there. And I've been looking for that, quite frankly, since we had this confluence with the trend line. And we're seeing that um, trend lines are subjective, right? Everybody draws a little bit differently. What isn't subjective is these timescape levels, right? They're plotted. This is where the open was. That's it. It's in stone. This is where the open was. That's it. It's in stone. It's not disputable. It's not debatable. It's not disputable. So we're seeing a support test to this level right now. If this holds, it's a fantastic place to bounce from, right? What I would be watching for, and what I am watching for right now, is a recovery. I'm watching for a close to happen above this line, as it's there so far. Maybe we go lower. And what happens if it doesn't hold above this? Well, then we get into yearly opens. And this is where things get maybe a little scarier for some people. And I would tell you that this is the one that matters the most, right? Holding this line is really the make or break on the trend, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, this trend line, really, you want to see it respected, but if it is broken, um, the way that this market operates, the way that we've seen these levels overshot historically. I mean, all the technicals get overshot because the algos are trying to fake each other out. And so you do get a little overshoot on the trend line like we have here. Maybe we get an overshoot on these, we get some wicks down into these levels. But I want to see the close. I want to see that weekly close back above here. And if it doesn't, then, obviously this 200-day moving average is a very important one. And it's it's confluence with these, well, near confluence anyways. That confluence already passed back in a month ago. And so when we see this confluence like this, that to me is a sign of more strength. This one close enough to the pin, I'm good with it, right? That was at 109, nearly 109 200, and I'd I'd be very happy with a bounce from here, or even here if it goes there. But I'd be happy with a bounce from here, and if it can close back above this trend line, then we have a potential for a big leg up. Now, all of the alt season talk has been going on for months and months and months, and quite frankly, I just don't know if we get the kind of alt season that everybody's anticipating. We will see select alts run, as we have been, but there are some dynamics going on in the charts that I want to show you. But before I do that, before we get to alts, let's look at ETH real quick. On the ETH side of things, we obviously saw ETH move into a new all-time high, but an incremental all-time high. Excuse me. 49.55 is where things topped out on Sunday. 4,800 is where the prior high was. And so, or a little higher than 4,800. And so the market is anticipating a rip through 5K, and it didn't happen. So the fact that it didn't happen was an indication to me that it was like a single actor kind of thing on the weekend, a weekend whale game, if you will. Turns out it was a strategic play. So not really so much a whale game in that sense, but it was a very strategic move. And so ETH's got some strength going on in the charts here that I haven't seen anybody really highlight yet anyways. And that is a series of golden crosses on the daily time frame. Okay, they're happening between the green 21 week moving average. And weeklies, in my opinion, are more important and more valuable than the daily, especially when we're talking higher time frames and macro. Okay, so we have golden crossed 1, 2, 3 moving averages in a relatively short amount of time, especially these last two happening here in the past two, in less than 2 weeks. Okay, so the green 21-week moving average, golden crosses with the blue 100 and the red 50-week moving average. And this is an indication of the longer term trend, obviously going upward. If we look at those moving averages on Bitcoin, we have a different set of circumstances happening. At least on the daily, we have a death cross happening between the 21 and the 50. Let's see what the weekly looks like. Weekly still looks healthy and intact, with all of the moving averages unwound. And again, we're looking to see how this support test develops here. Is this going to play out? Has price bottomed here, or are we going to potentially see things move lower? I would look, if it does shoot past this quarterly open, then we've got to look into these moving averages, and if those don't hold, then again, you have this yearly open that I would be watching very, very closely. I think those are the key levels you really need to be focused on at this stage. Going back to ETH, there we go. So ETH on the weekly looks solid. On the daily, look at this, a beautiful support test at the 21-day moving average. You've now had one, two, that one's a maybe test. That's a definite three tests. This would be fourth test on this 21-day moving average. And of course, the fact that we have this golden cross happening between the weeklies, I like this chart. Call it what you will. I like this chart. And this move all started with a nice, healthy consolidation around that 200-week moving average. I think that's pretty important. On to what's happening with the broader market. Okay. Again, you can look at the charts and you find things like this, right? You find the levels, and we looked at timescape levels on Bitcoin. Let's look at timescape levels on ETH. I think we're pretty far in the clear of most of these. And in fact, that support of the quarterly open for ETH is way down here in the 2,500 range. So we're miles away from that right now, over $1,000, or close to $1,000. Excuse me, not quite $1,000 away from that. So let's look at some other metrics here and see if we can get a sense of what's happening here. This is in the MI dashboard for material indicators, and what we're looking at here is price returns and drawdowns over the past 14 days. And you can see that we have gone through this period where, in the red periods, those are highly profitable periods for alts, and in the blue periods, there's negative returns. And you can see that things kind of faded back to neutral and then started turning blue again. So it's not across the board yet, but we can see that gains are lower. In fact, many have gone negative. There's a -2, -5, -8, -8, -28, -3, 4, +5, -5. All right. So you see what's happening here with the broader market is there are select coins doing well, but the majority not so well over the past 2 weeks, past 14 days. And we now look at what drawdowns are doing, and you can see the drawdowns are also on the rise. 19% drawdown, 18% drawdown, 13% drawdown, 23%, 16%, 8%, 2%, 10%, -15%, -28, -17. So you see the pattern here, right? Very, very, very easy to see. It's illustrated for you. You can identify it at a glance. So this shows you that hey, this isn't like alt season is going off. There are some alts that are doing well, but there are many that are not. And so you can identify let's see if we can identify some that are doing well. ZRO up 7.5%. ZK up 15.5%. ZEC up 12.9%. Let's see. Here's a What do we got over here in the red? Render, not so much, pretty much even. Rare, 13.5%. Quick, 17.5%. LDO, 20%. So you can find select coins that are doing well, but the vast majority are not. Okay. So keep that in mind. You can find the data if you know where to look. Um, Now I want to look at another metric here that, as doomy and gloomy as some of these things sound, there is something positive. Um, First of all, when we see periods of high beta, and look how quickly we moved from a period of low beta to a period of high beta. It was really just a couple of days. And now we're looking at a period of high beta, and high beta typically happens around local bottoms. So you see these dark blue dots here. Look at these dark blue dots here. Look at these dark blue dots here. Dark blue dots, dark blue dots, dark blue dots. Okay. This is an indication that we are at or near local support. So, when it comes to buying dips, it's sometimes it's an uncomfortable feeling, right? The sentiment is negative. It's hard to push that green button when the market sentiment is negative. But that's how you find the opportunities. That's you got to commit to those numbers. So, um, if you have trouble with that, my suggestion is to pick your targets, either set your orders or at least write down your target and stick to it. Okay. You don't have to set your order and do the knife catch because that is a little risky. But if you set alerts for what those targets are, you can assess at that point and see when buying has resumed. We can always identify that very clearly with a tool like Fire Charts, where the CVD tells us who's buying and when. And so all we have to do is notice here, there's whales have not started buying yet. Okay. Um, so there has been some profit taking, but price is holding at the moment. We haven't seen a lot of new support come in here yet, which is something that we want to see. And we want to see at least brown and purple start to tick upward. And when that happens, that's your indication that buying has resumed with volume. So going back to the dashboard metrics here, this is one of them that signals that, hey, we're getting near that local support level. We're getting near a local bottom. So, you know, I prefer to dollar cost average my way into positions. So I take them incrementally when I get into a range rather than just go all in at any single number. Um, I find that to be the safest way to navigate this market. Um, Another metric I want to show you is the correlation between alts and Bitcoin. And um, uh, we looked at, oh, yeah, that's the one I want to see. I think I need to refresh. Okay, here's another metric that shows us something pretty interesting. See this blue line right here? Capitulation. That means we're going to start seeing that bounce point, right? We're in that we are actively in that capitulation range right now. And what happens next is we see some fear, right? We come from fear, we have a little capitulation, potentially a little more fear before we get back to that optimism stage. And that means it's a good time, if you haven't done so yet, to identify those targets that you're comfortable buying. You're going to have a hard time absolutely scalping the absolute bottom, sniping the absolute bottom in this market. So that's why, again, I encourage a dollar cost averaging strategy, or at the very least, a mean reversion strategy that can help you find those levels with a high probability of bouncing. This is the MTF mean reversion indicator. It is set on an ETH Bitcoin chart right now. I might want to consider a higher deviation for fewer signals in the volatility. So this is at, I think, 2%. Let's see. Yeah, 2% deviation seems to be a good fit for what's happening here. And uh, I think this is, an indication we could see a little bit more degradation, but I think that this is an indication that we're near a bounce point. And so those are the things that I look for. I'm not telling you that you should buy at any given moment. I'm just telling you that when when price enters capitulation, when uh, sentiment is down when price goes down, and those are the times that disciplined traders buy. You buy when price is going down, you sell when price is going up, and that's how you make money in this market. You got that, Grant Cardone? Simple as that. Stay tuned into the charts. Stay tuned into the data. Everything else is freaking noise. Okay. And so if you're in this game for the long haul, if you're buying into the narrative that Bitcoin is going to be, your store of value, that Bitcoin is the future, then it's a long game. It's not the greatest instrument to trade. um, I mean, it's less volatile than a lot of than most of the alts. Um, but if you have confidence that Bitcoin's going to be worth $1 million or more sometime in the future, why would you keep trading in and out of it? Unless you're just a trader. Okay, if you're a trader, that's fine, do it. But if you're an investor and you're trying to invest in Bitcoin, and you go, oh well, I think I can beat this price. Well, good luck. Sometimes you will, most of the time you won't. Same thing goes for ETH. If you're buying into the ETH narrative, um, then and not just the not just the ETH treasury, but the reason for the ETH treasury. If you're buying into the fact that ETH is going to be instrumental in the future of finance, and you're investing in that, then buy it and hold it, and stop trying to improve your cost basis by $10. Uh, you know, um, Now, if you're a trader, you're a scalper, then those assets are much easier to track and follow. Um, as for everything else, uh, I'm on the few alts that I am trading. I am doing just that. I'm trading them. So I hold Bitcoin, I hold ETH, I hold and stake a little bit of Solana, but everything else, when my targets are reached, I sell. Simple as that. Hope that gave you some insight. Sorry if I was a little rusty on this. It's been about, I think, 9 or 10 days since I've done one of these, and I am going to get back into the groove of doing that amidst the chaos of unpacking, setting up my office and studio, and doing all the things. Oh yeah, and managing a business. But I'm here for you guys. I appreciate the follow. I appreciate the support. And I appreciate the comments, so please keep them coming. And we will keep in tune to the market. And again, come back at this. And anytime I see something noteworthy, I'll do my best to chime in and keep you guys updated. If you like the stream, do me a favor and smash those buttons. Hit that like, hit the share, and subscribe so you never miss any of the data or insights I share with you guys. Hope that helps you out. Hope that at least gives you something to think about and helps you make smarter trading decisions. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, guys.